walivyokuwa. Hii imetetemesha. Mumeona leo vile wamehangaika kuanzia Senate, kila mahali mishahara wameanza kusema wajipunguzie na kadhalika. The movement is real. This has been always my wish as well. Kwa hiyo my question, my concern is how do we get back to the 25th of June? That was historic. What else can be done to have such for more demands and for more movement to be kept alive? Thank you. Mengine nitaongea baadaye.
Thank you so much, Ken Kwe, and then Sumbaro.
Thank you, Hilary, Maj, Biril, for hosting the space, and thank you to Daktari for being part of us today. Nilikuwa kwa ground yesterday, and I didn't spend the whole day in town. When things got ugly, I decided to go back home. Yeah, so I just want to run us through a few points. Number one, I want to make us understand why the political class hired Goons. So for me, I think the first reason is to demoralize us. We have to understand that most of us, these are in the trenches. Daktari has spoken about being being a freedom fighter for a very long time. He's been in this game for long. So for some of us, this is uncharted territory, and I think most of us will agree with me. And another thing is that I believe one of our main obstacles is that many of us, perhaps especially the young people, might be emotionally fragile. So bringing in goons, bringing in violent goons and all that, it basically tests our resilience. And I think the government knew this, and that's why they brought in the goons. Secondly, I think they brought in the goons to taint our credibility, both domestically and internationally. One of the main things about these demonstrations is that we've really won the domestic and international community's hearts. The first 3 demos, we had restaurants throwing bottled water to demonstrators, and that shows the amount of support we had. Yesterday, just before I headed to town, I had a call with my father, a conversation. He's a bit old, and he was encouraging me, telling me that it's a high time we get these people out of power. And so we had won so many hearts. And the moment you introduce goons and they bring violence and chaos, you taint our image, and we lose that support. And another reason why I think the government brought in goons was to try and turn us against each other. Yesterday, everyone was blaming Osama. Everyone was blaming Kimuzi for being the amplifiers of the demos, telling them that you owe the business community, you owe everyone that has lost property, you owe everyone that has lost their life. So I believe turning us against each other was one of the main agendas for why they introduced the goons. So how do we go about this? How do we recover? I believe that we need to first change or work on our wording. I'm not a marketing expert, but I believe many marketing experts will agree with me that yes, I believe that many marketing experts will agree with me that in as much as we are saying Ruto must go, why do we want him to go? I think we need to amplify corruption, accountability, police brutality. We need to amplify such messages to gain more support from people again, to make people angry again. Then something else. I think my parting shot before I land, I want to make it clear that we've not succeeded. I've seen people saying we've succeeded, but we've not succeeded. We've lost more than approximately 49 lives through these demonstrations, only for rejecting the finance bill. So we are far from succeeding anything. It's not, basically, if you compare, it's not worth losing 40 lives just for the finance bill to be dropped. So we need to finish the job, and as I wind up. And I've insisted that we have Ruto in the perfect spot. We have him where we want him to be. So it's about time we realize that this is far from over. We should not relent. So let's persist. Let's amplify our messages. And yes, Ruto must go. Thank you for giving me the time and the mic.
Thank you so much. I see that Terry, your mic is on. Probably you want to chime in. And to
Yes.
the coming speakers, kindly only 2 minutes and then you move. And,
Yes, ma'am.
Terry, over to you. Yes.
Thank you. I want us to be very, very clear, because you see, if we are not clear in our minds, we cannot achieve anything. It is unfortunate that some people are focusing on Ruto's ministers. He appointed all of them deliberately. He knew that he was appointing crooks, but he did so deliberately. He knew that he was appointing incompetent people. He did that deliberately. He had options. He had a lot of Kenyans that he could have picked, and he chose to pick these ones. And even though people have been complaining about them, he's refused to fire any one of them. So forget about the ministers. The focus is on Ruto. If Ruto goes, he goes with all his ministers. So why should you care about going to the Ministry of Agriculture? You are going to scatter yourself too thin. For what reason? You are trying to spread yourself thin when you should be together. Let us be together in one spot and sing one song. Ruto must go. It cannot be anything else. You see, let us not be mentally, psychologically vulnerable to these guys. Because even one of the listeners has just sent me a message, and it's quite revolutionary. He says, look, a revolution, a protest, any attempt to correct the system is not a wedding procession. You don't expect him to meet you with bouquets. He will fight back, and he's fighting back through his goons. Let us avoid talking as if the demonstrators or protesters were goons, or some of the protesters stole or looted. They want us to focus on side issues, red herrings, diversionary things. We are dwelling too much on their issue. The issue of goons we should have settled by simply saying, Ruto is desperate. He went out there and hired goons so that he can discredit the protest, and it has failed. And then move on from there to other more important and effective ways of moving forward. One of the things that people must do, first of all, there is no question you cannot go to Uhuru Park, because that has been done, has been attempted many times. They only bring GSU and whatever to seal it off, and you will not be able to get there. We are going to get to public open spaces like Parliament, because it is open. You get there through the roads, and that is the meeting point. How you get there is not our issue, because if you let them block you from getting out of your estate, they will, and then you will not reach Parliament. So don't congregate out of town. Get to CBD through whatever means, whether you are walking, whether you are on a motorcycle, whether you are on a matatu, whatever it is, get to CBD. That is how revolutions are done. You don't tell them that we are going to meet out of town, because they will simply block you from getting to the CBD. The important thing about the CBD, apart from the symbolic importance, is that you grind everything to a halt. Let them not tell you about the stock exchange. Let them not tell you about our business are not running. Let the businesses not run so that they can understand that this is a serious thing. Because if they do not understand this is a serious thing, then Ruto will continue with business as usual. So let's not be distracted. Finally, let people stream this thing. If you are downtown and you are a multitude of people, stream it live. Stream live whatever is happening, so that if people are being attacked, everybody can see. Stream it on Facebook, stream it on X, stream it on TikTok, stream it wherever you can stream it. But make sure you stream it and take good pictures of any thugs that they hire to come and attack people. But let's not dwell too much on the fact that they hired the goons, because the more you do that, you are actually making him win. You are distracting yourself. You are causing fear to yourself and to other people. And this is not the time for that. Let us stop lamenting. Let us come up with concrete things we must do. Thank you much.
Thanks so much, Dr. Terry. And so as we move on, like underlined by Dr. Terry, yes, we already noticed the problem. We've talked about it. Now let's just move on from there. And I hand over the mic to Sumba Robin, then Kimani, and Albizia in that order.
Thank you very much, everyone on the call. First of all, I just want to say that for those that are our fallen heroes, let their souls rest in peace. For me, first of all, is to say that we've been able to progress well. The people who've been talking of strategy, I feel that for our strategy, it lies more in being adaptive. So we need to be very adaptive to everything that is thrown to us, because so many things will come along our way. We need to really be very focused. I've been able to really just be able to compare and contrast success stories of where people were able to go on the street, and I have been able to pick learnings that I think we can be able to also utilize and see that we succeed. In Tunisia, when they were trying to work out a way to just be able to relieve themselves from the yoke of dictatorship, one thing that they did was to be persistent. It was not something that was done in a day or 3 days. It was for a whole month, 30 days. After 30 days, the dictator who had been there for 23 years, Ruto, we are talking for 2 years, 23 years with systems that he had developed, he was able to run away, and the Wananchi were able to overcome, and they were able to put in place systems that worked for them. Equally, in Egypt, it worked the same way. So the thing is to really be adaptive, to really be consistent, and also to be there in numbers and to be peaceful. If you are peaceful, it becomes very hard for somebody to discredit you and to work against you. So looking at the 2 days that we were successful, if we were able to maintain the same tempo, then again, Ruto will really find it hard to really work against us. Then the other thing that I've observed in town, whenever that the protesters assemble, the first thing that the police do is to quickly do dispersion of tear gas. So if we can be able to work in silos, probably come into a number of groups that are then be able to converge at a point, having being in numbers that are a bit of a challenge to police, then it can really work for us. Because I've seen that police, even 2 people or 3 people, when they see any gathering that is small, they are able to quickly come in with tear gas. If we can be able to find a way of going around that, then I believe that is something that we can really be able to overcome this challenge. Thank you very much, and I'm really impressed by Dr. Migunas' input.
Thank you so much. Kimani, you're next, then Albizia. You have 2 minutes each. That means after 1 hour, I'm going to be raising my hand. Then be on the lookout. Check my profile. When you see my hand up, then it means you have 1 minute to go. So for speakers that are coming on board, kindly prepare your points in a way that you can present them in 2 minutes. Over to you, Kimani.
Good evening, people. I've heard what we have said about re-strategizing and what's next, what we are supposed to do. I would like to say that the hashtag Ruto must go is very important to this movement. And I would like to advise you guys that instead of just saying that Ruto must go, we need to fight for the reconstitution of the IEBC, because there is no way that we can say Ruto must go, and when it comes to that, to the actions in which we need to take in order to achieve the goal, there are no tools in which we can use in order to achieve our goals. Secondly, I would like to say that as Kenyans, we have failed so much in choosing our leaders. We have chosen leaders who are corrupt. I myself, we have chosen people who do not have empathy. We have seen the reactions of Mr. President when he has been asked about the people who have been killed. We have seen his responses. So in our next general elections, I would like that we choose people who have the characteristics of leaders. Go to listen to people around them, how they talk, how they carry themselves, what they are selling. Because I was fooled by Ruto. That's true. I was fooled. That guy was so cunning in trying to fool Kenyans, and we fell for it. So I urge you Kenyans that in our next general election, we look at these leaders very keenly and also emphasize on the IEBC matter. We need to reconstitute the IEBC in order so that we can, if it's recalling the MPs who are not supporting our movement, we can recall them and replace the people who are willing to work for the people. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Kimani. For the reconstitution of the IEBC, please mute your mic, Kimani. My understanding is that we really spoke about it the past days. So that means that in accordance to Article 1, when there's a reset, then everything is going to happen. So, that's where, coming up with new institutions. So it's not like, one step has to come, first step, a reset, and then other, the institutions that are supposed to be also reset will be done. Albizia?
Can you give somebody, please? I'm doing something. I'll talk later, please.
Bet, please.
First of all, let me say that we should keep our eyes on the ball. And the ball here is the clarion call that Ruto must go. This is what we should focus on. The other issues of IBC and the rest, the goons, should not come in. And the secret will be on our numbers. We must turn out in large numbers so that we can overwhelm the goons that have been fired. Revolution cannot be attained if we are divided, if we lose focus, and if we allow the kind of conversations that we saw in the Senate today, trying to divide us and trying to look like they are changing. They will not change. And the revolution must happen now for us to change our country, to fix the judiciary, to fix the executive, and to fix the parliament. That will happen after the revolution has been achieved. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Bet. Let's proceed to Weston.
Thank you so much, Marge. First, my commiseration to the fallen patriots. It's unfortunate that it had to come to this when people rise up to fight for justice, for equality, for equity, for economic emancipation. They are not setting themselves up to be turned into martyrs. So it's terribly unfortunate. And any state that does that effectively loses legitimacy to govern. After having said that, I wish to remind my fellow compatriots that the question of infiltration of protest by shadowy characters, suddenly the word goon has found pride of place in our political lexicon. It's not something new.
Hello, everyone.
Yes?
You can hear me?
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Right.
Hello? Okay, fine. Somebody Yes. Can you hear me now?
Kindly proceed, Western. The problem is, just hold on, there's a Western and then there's a Western. So Western Shilaho, please proceed. And Western Murai, wait a moment. So Western Shinyalo, kindly proceed.
I can't hear
Oh,
anybody.
thank you.
What is going on?
Now, can you hear me now?
Just hold on.
Hello?
Just hold on.
Hello?
Dr. We can hear you.
What happened? Marge?
Yes, I can hear you. Hillary, can you please...
Marge, can you hear me?
Yes.
I really can't hear anybody.
Daktari, can you hear me?
No, he cannot hear anyone. Hillary, can you text him to log out and come back?
Okay.
Let's do that. Let Hillary handle that as we proceed. Western, kindly proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that clarification. Well, I was saying that it's unfortunate that lives have had to be lost because in the exercise of people's inalienable constitutional rights, no life should
Hello,
be
Marge?
lost.
I cannot hear you. I cannot hear anybody.
We cannot hear you. We can hear you. Hillary is texting you, contacting you so that you can log out and come back again. Let me text Hillary that. Okay. Western, please proceed.
Thank you so much. Well, be as it may, I think this is an indictment on our democracy. Lives should not be senselessly lost in a democracy. In a democracy, we should be able to resolve our political and economic contradictions civilly through set out institutions. We are not doing it now. Why? Because of institutional impunity, by the state. And that's why we are where we are. And we're saying we have to relentlessly fight and push back against this seemingly impregnable culture of lawlessness and impunity. Having said that, I wish also to draw my fellow compatriots to the fact that any given struggle, any war is also psychological. The people that we are ranged against will stop at nothing to invoke all sorts of tactics and stratagems to deflate this mass movement. And one of which is where you see people beginning to cast doubts on themselves. Are they doing the right thing? Are they not doing the right thing? That's psychological. We must be aware of that. I don't know whether Dr. Miguna is listening to me. I've got two quick questions for him. Is he listening?
We're trying to sort out his issues. Of late when people are listening, the spaces are tampered with, unfortunately. But do post your questions. He's going to work on his connection and then come back. Do pose your questions. We are taking those questions. We're writing them down. You have 1 minute to land, please.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Marge. Let's remove him from the speaker, then we invite him back. I think Hillary cannot hear us either.
Okay, let's do that. Western, please proceed with your questions.
Okay, good. I would like Dr. Miguna to weigh in, and any other person in the forum on the question of class versus ethno-regional politics. The latter has held us back, which I consider to be extremely retrogressive, because it has denied us an opportunity to caucus and have a conversation on cross-cutting social, political, and economic considerations. And I look at the kind of challenge we are bedeviled with currently, which is not new, as the rest of the Kenyans, who constitute the majority, raged against a tiny clique of the ruling class that has commandeered the state and appropriated the associated benefits and consigned everybody else to the margins of the mainstream economy. So I'm asking, there's this tendency to draw parallels between ethno-regional politics and class politics, which evokes fear among some Kenyans in equal measure. And I don't think that is correct in my reading, because our contradictions can only be addressed when we caucus coalesce along ethnic, religious, gender, regional lines and
Western,
address the things we're doing now.
Western, may I kindly route you back to the topic? I mean, the topic you're discussing is very, very important, but let's really stick to the topic of the day. So take 30 seconds to pose your question relating to this topic to Miguna, and then we go to the next.
1 second. 1 second, kindly.
Okay,
could
thanks.
you ask?
Thank you. I think
the speaker to hold on. Sorry about that. Madge, can you ask Dr. if he can hear us? Because I'm trying to add him to the speaker panel.
Okay. Well, let's sort that offline because I cannot see him. Let's sort that out offline. So Weston, go, and then we go to the next, to Vincent. Weston, just 30 minutes for the question.
Okay, I'm done with the question, Marge, but I would wish to, because it stems from Doctor's previous presentation. I didn't get a chance to ask him that question. It's imperative because it's at the core of our political mobilization. It's at the core of what we're doing now, because we are fighting for economic emancipation. We're fighting for better livelihoods. So I don't think it's an outlier question as such. In any case, Dr. Miguna addressed it last time.
Thank you. Vincent, over to you.
Hi, thank you for letting me speak. I've been on so many calls the last few days. My wife is Kenyan. We're going to grow our family up in Kenya. I have a very high regard for the potential of Kenya. What I want to discuss is, with the effects of these hired goons, is that I think people need to wake up a little bit, yeah? This Westminster system of government has continuously failed every country and has been corruptible in every country around the world, not just Kenya. I mean, Kenya, the corruption is seen quite clearly, probably more than other places, but believe you me, Western societies are crumbling at the moment and they are suffering the same issues with goons, as you so called them, set up by three-letter agencies that are all over the world, Australia, the US, everywhere I've lived all over the world. Now, I think what we need to get to a point to is that we have the technology right now to implement decentralized systems so that we can implement direct democracy and remove power from these sons of bitches that are ruining countries left, right, and center and influencing the state of politics through very sophisticated means. I mean, if you look at the people that Ruto is dealing with right now all around the world, it's the same people that are destroying democracies within their own countries. Now, they use these three-letter agencies to be doing the work that they do to influence basically political motivation. Now, if you implement decentralized power in terms of putting major decisions directly without the use of continuous representatives who you never really know, and eventually, because of the Westminster system, they become corrupted. This
Be your own man with new Vassman Extreme Iron. here, possibilities are everywhere. From taking first steps here, to beginning your own wealth journey here. From backing global trade ambitions here, to delivering on that promise here. That's why we're here, in the world's most dynamic markets. A bank that connects potential to possibilities. So, where will you go from here?
Just manage it, don't steal it. A few people are stealing too much. These kids out here, they know everything. They know your houses. They know where your kids go to school. They know which properties of land you have. Why must somebody have 4 million acres of land to his name? What happened to our mentality? Then we pretend and run to churches talking about Christianity, how Jesus... Do you understand what you are dealing with? The people out here don't even believe in God anymore. The people out here are tired of the lies, the religious organizations. And I have to say this, I'm a Catholic. I was so happy I saw the Purple No-Show talk about the issues of a country. Let us forget that we can run this country as tribes. Let us accept that there is a new sheriff in town. That sheriff is the GNC. They are partyless, they are tribeless, they don't have money, they just have bundles and a phone. And they'll stop this country to move. I would like to plead with the members of this House when it comes to looking at what role our committees are playing. Look at what happens. I want to thank my brothers Sifuna, my brother Chirargei. I want to thank Madam Dulo. These are, many of you may not know, we've never discussed it here. How many times we've been threatened that we are raising issues about county governments losing billions. I mean, who doesn't know how many governors own apartments and houses in Kilimani Road? Each one of them owning an apartment costing 1.5 billion shillings. Why didn't the fool just go and build a hospital where he comes from? How I wished we stole the money and put it at home. Some of them are going to Dubai. People are going to America. You see on social media. I just saw somebody commenting saying that the senators have nothing to do. I want him to tell me how he bought a Bentley and is an MP. Explain to me, how does somebody, the truth is, I'm born with advantage and privilege. That is the truth. I saw my father driving a big car when I was a small boy. That is not what drives me. What drives me is, how do you get a member of parliament driving a Mercedes that costs 49 million shillings? And we are watching, and that is normal, and it is okay. And it is okay. Shame on us. Then we make sure this money doesn't go to the schools. We make sure that hospitals have no money. We start building hospitals now. We want the poor people to come to those hospitals. Poor people can't come to Nairobi Hospital. They can't come to Aga Khan. Some of them can't afford Kenyatta. You saw the other day, Kenyatta has a debt of 6.6 billion. The Eldoret Hospital, Eldoret KTRH, has a debt of 3.9 billion. When you ask, they tell you we don't know where the money went. Are we fools? Do we need to buy houses which have got 15 bedrooms and drive 19 cars and put them in your parking lot, and you want 10,000 acres of land? You want a ranch? You fools, you go and buy a ranch in Australia. This is where we are. We keep blaming the police. The policeman cannot do anything. Have we ever gone as a Senate to go and see where the police lives? How he takes his kids to school and his salary is 19,000. And this house has to start thinking about those things. We guys must begin, and we ladies and gentlemen in this house must begin to agree that we can reduce our salaries, that we can drive smaller cars, that we can wear kaundas. In fact, the only thing I'm very annoyed about the president, I'm the one who started wearing kaundas. Now he has given kaunda a bad name. I want Kenyans to love kaundas the way I love them. Let us wake up, Kenyans. We can't play football. Money comes from FIFA, it is eaten. World Rally Championship, money comes from there, it's eaten. You go, you want Kenya Lawn Tennis Association, they only want 50,000 to hold an international tennis tournament. Not even a minister appears there. But when the minister is traveling out of the country, he's got how many people? Private jet, goes to Dubai, books one of those hotels, luxury hotels, and he comes back to Nairobi with the same 9 people he took with a private jet. And you assume that the Gen Zs don't know. These days they track you. They can know which private jet you took, where it went, and how it came back. Many of us are worried because either because of history or because of what has happened, we have got a lot of money now, we are owning so much land. Please allow us to have spatial planning. Your land, we can have an implemented law in this house to protect your even identity. But please don't stop stealing public land. Let us have mercy at our people. You saw people from Eldoret and Kakamega talking about, our shambas which our grandfathers left for us. Now you guys who are MPs and senators, you come, you chase us away, and then you throw us into court. You go and bribe the courts. And I want to talk about the judiciary. We respect you. We know that you are most of the time under the pressure. We know there are certain things which you can even be blackmailed, but we want to hold you at a higher standard. We must hold the judiciary at a higher standard, the legislators at the higher standard, and make sure the president is also at the higher standard. That is how we can move as a country and stop this nonsense. We behave like monkeys running through a forest looking for bananas without knowing whether it's the bananas they want or it's oranges. I really, really want to say this, Madam Speaker, finally. I was nearly giving up on my country. I have changed my mind because of today. The young men who are fighting for this country have done us proud. Let us treat them with dignity. Let us make sure we engage them. Let us stop doing the things which make them angry, desperate, and upset with the ruling class. The truth is, if this country breaks down, it takes all of us down. I can tell you, I was in South Sudan when we were doing the comprehensive peace agreement. I visited as a minister, as a young minister, to go and do what was called a referendum. I've been to Khartoum. I have been to Mali. I've been to a country in West Africa. I'll remember the name, Madam Speaker. You look at how people have been treated and how the political class has treated their people. Everybody looks destitute and everybody is desperate. Let us change our ways. We can run the country peacefully, make sure everybody is a person of dignity. Let's treat our people kindly. A country that never takes care of its most vulnerable is a country that is not worth talking about. So I want to ask the political class, I want to ask all our auditors, I want to ask all members of the county assembly, please, members of the county assembly, your job is to oversight, the MP's job is to oversight, and the senator's job is to oversight. Let the governors run the place. If they bribe you, you will not get development. Let us agree that those are the rules.
And welcome back to Jeff Kananga live here in the studio on a packed bench following Mandamano Tuesday. On the far end, Shadrach Kiprono, right next to him, Wanjiro, right next to her, Boniface Mwangi, right next to him, Honorable Babu Owino, and sitting right next to me, Senior Counsel Paul Mwangi. We're talking about the way forward. Gen Zs have woken up a nation. Sort of like Arab Spring, I call it African winter. You may disagree or agree, it's up to you. Babu Owino, let me ask you this real quick. Yes. Got a message from Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah.
Yes.
He said, in all the years, you've been in the Budget Committee for how long? 2 years now? About 2 years?
Yes.
Maybe more?
1.5 years.
1.5 years.
Yes.
You have not written a single minority report. That's what he's saying. And you're talking about minority reports.
Jeff, let me be honest with you. That because it is now coming from a majority leader, that is in Kenya Kwanza government, he will not tell you that we write the minority reports. We have written several minority reports every other time for the 2 past financial years. Even this budget, we wrote a minority report disagreeing with certain items. For example, the issue of the renovation of the deputy president's house. We say that this money is budgeted corruption, and we say that we cannot subscribe to it, we cannot assent to it, and we cannot be part of it. And because he's in Kenya Kwanza, he can write anything. And I want to tell you, Jeff, that anytime we make the budget making process, and we are there, we disagree almost with everything except matters development. Kimani Chungwa himself, he had over 1.2 billion put for him in roads for Kikuyu constituency alone. Why didn't he remove that? But because we are the minority in the budget committee, if we raise the issue, they say that they are the majority, and it goes to Kimani Chungwa, who defends it spiritedly and also religiously on the floor of the house. And he has 1.2 billion. That is lack of, it is not equity, because that is development only on one side. So Jeff, I want to tell you that people like Kimani Chungwa, before he became the majority leader, he was a very humble person.
And now?
Right now, this man's ego is bloated. This is a man who hides his ignorance in his loudness. Jeff, this is a man who is messing this country.
Look, he's not here to defend himself.
He's here impliedly. That's why he has already tell you. Yes, so let me deal with him.
Wanjira, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Would you run for office? You see, you're thinking about it. It's taking 10 seconds.
I would.
You would?
I would.
Why? Seeing that the parliament is full of these people.
No. I come from Malari constituency, and our member of parliament has failed us time and time again. For the last 10 years, I've been a human rights activist. We've been saying, where is our representative? When police are killing us, when floods are happening, when this is how, even there isn't demolitions in Malari. Malari residents are sleeping outside. After the floods, that is not the kind of leadership we want to see.
So you would
forward.
run?
I would run. And I think collectively as a generation, we have seen what not to look for in leadership from the current leadership that we have in country. Yeah. We've seen not to have members of parliament who cower under the presidency, who choose to say, I know I was elected by the people, but now I am in parliament, I obey the president. Those are very backward tendencies.
Do you think there's a certain fear factor of some of these MPs?
That they need to lose your fear. Ruto is just one man. Kenyans are in their millions. It's an easy pick. Lose your fear. Go with what the people are saying. If the people have said, listen, we don't want the finance bill, it's so easy to say, as a representative of the people, my people have rejected this finance bill, I therefore will vote no. What is the contention about it? What is so difficult about voting no for that finance? What will Ruto do to you? We hear that he's bribing members of parliament. Hata huko mashinani tunasemanga kula ganji, but tunajua kura ni kwa nani. I'm not saying that they should take bribes, but I am saying do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
It is so easy to do the right thing.
And just for my generation, ganji ni...
Wait.
Ganji ni pesa.
I'm just checking, man. Just checking.
Let's be sure.
You know?
It could be ganja.
Yeah. It could be ganja.
Yeah.
But listen, Wajira, they say people change when they enter that house.
Correct.
Yeah.
People change.
Yeah, which is now the strategy that Gen Zs and millennials are coming with, that can we have an absolute overhaul so that we have new people that we can hold accountable.
Overhaul parliament.
Overhaul parliament.
All of it.
Pole Babu, but we actually
Why are you apologizing?
He's the only elected representative of the people here, and we're talking about an absolute overhaul of the people's representatives. It is because they have failed. It is because they have failed us time and time again. It's not that Kenyans are not seeing these things happening. It's not that we don't see the impunity, the corruption, the theft. We see it. It pains us, and the pain piles and piles until now we are like, okay, we are going to the streets, and there's no force on the earth that is going to stop us until we actually achieve our mission and objective.
Shadrach, would you run?
No.
You wouldn't run?
To answer that,
I'm going to tell me another story.
Yes, I'm going to tell you another story. I'm a data scientist.
Yeah.
Let me brag about myself. There are very few people in this country who know data the way I do. I cannot run. I would not want to run. But once I find the strongest politician that I would like to work with, I will run his data and I will get him onto that seat.
Or her.
Him or her.
Yeah.
I swear it is. Either now or 50 years from now, I will make a king. I will make a president using data.
But the people make up king and a president.
Not
Not data.
Oh, I'm talking about, you see the people.
Yeah.
To me, one person is a number. What you call people, I call them data. I will use that data to send someone there.
But let me warn Shadrach that the only person who's going to crack it next time is someone who actually is really issue based. Na sahi watu wamechanuka. We had Ruto campaigning on hustler narrative. Bottom up, nini. So sahi watu wakorada, we are going to check your history.
But Ranjira, 2027 is far away, yeah?
No, it's not.
It's only 3
It could
be sooner. It could be sooner. You see now they're using commercial because they know they do each other.
Yeah.
Have you seen they're using commercial? They know anytime.
2027 is just 2 days.
Ni hapa tu.
Na bado kuna hand of God.
Force majeure.
Yeah.
If you consider that it's a generation writing their own future,
Yes.
3 years is nothing.
It's not a long time.
It's nothing.
Those 3 years.
Because they are talking about, you're talking about guys who are about 30, 25.
Actually, most of them are 18, 19 kids. 18, 19.
So if you take an average of 25,
young parliament,
they are talking about when they will be parents. They are talking about when they'll be when they'll be our age. They're talking about how they'll live when they are 50. That's 30 years, 40 years from today. But they have to write that now.
The thing about, so these young people are saying, you want me to get a child and bring up in which country?
Exactly.
In which healthcare system?
How?
In which community?
Education
In which education system?
Yeah.
So they're saying, we are fighting for what we want for our kids because our parents failed us.
Right.
They never fought for playgrounds. They never fought for public utilities. And so they're fighting for themselves and their unborn child. The majority of the people in the streets yesterday have no dependence.
And our generation is supporting.
Did you see that tweet yesterday, or X, that said we're going to take our parents' IDs so that they
not good bad decisions.
You know, one of the reasons why our generation is supporting them is because we don't know what to do, how to protect our children.
Right.
And then, until this happened, there was a despair. In fact, the biggest question was whether Ruto is going to change the constitution. And you know, and at some point it looked real.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yeah.
But now
our excitement is now it will never happen.
Never happen.
It will never happen.
For sure.
Yeah.
It will never happen.
Imagine
Never say never.
No, Let him there.
So we are excited
Well,
to
listen.
know that we don't have to worry about that.
Hapa hakuna mkoa wa Ruto. Hapa hakuna mkoa wa Ruto. You see?
Ichungu ako hapo kwa simu.
Listen, we are not, those young Kenyans are not Ruto's wives, they are not Ruto's employees, they don't care, they employ Ruto. Ruto works for them, they understand Ruto is their servant.
Exactly.
He's a public servant, he's an employee, he works for them. They understand that part about this conversation. They're telling Ruto, we have no healthcare, we have no education, there's no money, but you're giving your wife 1.3 billion shillings to do what?
Jeff, we should not even talk about changing the constitution.
It is outrageous.
So the thing is, we're going to hold Ruto accountable. And how do you know how we're doing that? Beyond Ruto, people are going even after his kids. They're telling him, by the way, we know what you own, where you live, what you do. And I love the transparency. Because Ruto wants to come to our pockets and into every part of our lives, but he wants to be untouchable. He's already in our pockets. And you know what? He's taking more than what we're giving him. He's robbing us, actually. He's a presidential robber.
Pickpocketing a naked person.
He's robbing us. He's robbing us to fund a life that we cannot afford.
It's true.
Let's have austerity measures. And finally, the last thing I want to say, we need a debt audit. We are being told we are paying debts. What are we paying for?
Those debts.
When these two guys came to office, they told us one thing. They got empty coffers, money was stolen. By who? If money was stolen, tell us who stole the money. Go after the thieves. Money was borrowed. Where was that money spent? They promised us a state capture commission. You don't even need that. Just do a debt audit, follow the money, we know where the money went.
Follow the money.
Unless the president, who was deputy president, he stole with Uhuru. Because walikuwa kitanda moja hivi. Unless they stole together. But if they never stole together, Uhuru and his people stole. Go after them. Not a single minister from the Uhuru regime has been taken to court about stealing from public coffers. So the thing is, Ruto asitufanye sisi ni watoto ama wajinga. He took up the Bible with Rigathi and they promised us they're going to find us the money where the money went. Ache kizungu mingi, achukue passport afiche ama achome. He stays in Kenya until he recovers the money. Recover the stolen money. Wache kizungu mingi.
Actually, I want to
tell you. And the devil, listen, Ruto anapenda kutuombea sana. Hatutaki maombi. The devil never stole from Kenyans. The devil is innocent. Hapa mnaekelea shetani. Mnaekelea shetani. Shetani ya kuiba.
The devil is scared of it.
And even God, God is just saying, the devils that you're talking about lives in this country. Wako hapa. Na skiza, shetani ana bank account. The devil has no bank account because the devil never stole. God has no bank account. Let us remove God and the devil from this conversation. We don't even want prayers.
Yeah.
Just go after the people who have stolen our money.
Hold on, Babu.
I was involved in when we were fighting about the Eurobond, and we did a lot of investigation about the Eurobond. I still believe today that a lot of that money was stolen.
Yeah.
And when we said that, we were told we were crazy. But within that time, it turned out that Malaysia had taken out a Eurobond, and the entire Eurobond was eaten.
What?
In Malaysia, the entire Eurobond.
Just like Kenya's then.
They ate it.
Entirely.
All of it.
All of it. And that has happened also. There's an African country also that was in Malawi that also had another, they called it, I think, a tuna bond. There are 3 countries where Eurobonds were taken and eaten entirely. Went into private accounts.
Babu, you want to say something? Hold on.
I agree that some things are supposed to be investigated.
Accounted for.
I can't believe that we don't.
I want to support Bonnie on the issue of debt accountability. From history, having a debt is not a problem. Taking loans is not a problem. And we have an economist called Franco Modigliani. He came up with a theory called the life cycle hypothesis under the theories of consumption. And he said that as we are, you can borrow money and develop yourself, get something that you can't get as at now, something that you ought to have enjoyed in 70 years' time, so long as you prepay for it. The problem that we have in Kenya is that we borrow money, we take loans, for 1, recurrent expenditure that does not bring development, and for 2, corruption. That money that we borrow, the people who borrow it steal that money. So you borrow your money and then you steal it. Number 3, for patrimonialism, to impress the keys of power, the people around Ruto. And therefore, those debts are called unproductive debts. So those debts, we end up paying them, and our generation, our children will come and repay
One children then will be paying, and children after that.
So it is not fair for us to take loans. Ruto has taken a lot of money up to now. So I wonder why the finance bill, taxes should be increased. And there's something that Ichungwa himself raised today in Parliament, and allow me to explain it, about imposing tax on imports.
The eco tax, the eco levy.
No, generally imports. Yeah. You know, Kenyans consume around 80% of imported goods because we are still not in a position to produce, to manufacture. We have 3 sectors, or three sectors in our economy. The first one is service. The service industry consists of the banking facility, insurance, education, and health, which contributes around 65% to the Kenyan economy. Then we have agriculture, which is the primary sector. Agriculture itself contributes 19%. Then we have the industries. Under industries, we have manufacturing taking 9% and construction. Total for manufacturing, 16%. So the only time that you are allowed to increase taxation on imports is when a country is able to sustain, to produce, to manufacture, to sustain the 55 million Kenyans. But before that, Why would you increase taxes if you know that the production level for maize is low? It means that Kenyans will go and scramble for the maize that is available. Then after that, there will be no more supply. Then we will develop a demand for the imports. The moment we develop a demand for the imported goods, that burden of cost goes back to the common mwananchi, because that tax will be raised, so the cost of the commodities, the goods, will be raised. Therefore, Jeff, what the PR exercise that was done yesterday in State House is so clear. It is a strategy called the maneuver strategy or the decoy strategy. What does it show us? That bring all those bad things that we will remove eventually, so that Kenyans can fight about them viciously and spiritedly, and then hide the ones that you want to pass, like the imports. Then the moment Kenyans go on the street, then we remove the ones that we didn't want, and then we say, we have already helped you. Creating a problem, providing a solution.
That's what Boniface
so we
was saying.
still have a big problem.
Reject the whole thing.
So we have to reject in totality, and tomorrow we are voting.
Are we done?
Tomorrow we are voting at 2 p.m.
No.
And I will vote.
Magic wall.
I will vote. I will vote no.
We're not done with you.
I will vote no for that man.
Orut Swasam says, it's good that our young people have realized our country is getting offline, and they have taken it upon themselves to ensure they are correcting the situation on time. Keep it on, the future depends on you. Mend it now or never, okay? Mama AK says, it is not a matter of sustaining demos. The train has already gained momentum and we ain't going back. Bunny, the train has left the station.
Yes, it does.
It has.
Does he know?
Good Baraza Wera says, I have 3 questions. One, ask Bonnie, does he in any way profit from the demos, as in donor facilitation? Answer that first.
Nothing, by the way. How? I've been asking that question for 17 years.
I know.
Yeah.
Every time you come
Every time I come on show, I have to answer that question.
Yeah. Number 2, for Wanjira, is it true that her and the Gen Z group have derived their courage from many movies they watched to do the demo?
Absolutely not. We derived our courage from doing political education sessions to educate ourselves about what is going on, what we need to do, our history, and what is required of us as active citizens of this nation.
It's not Netflix.
No.
Okay, question 3. Does Babu have blessings from Baba to support the demos?
Definitely, Jeff. Baba ni baba, na tunasema ni baba kwa sababu kama kuna tabu ana jawabu la ajabu kwa adabu. So we have 101%.
Wacha baba aitwe baba. Engineer Lazarus says, time is ripe for generational change. Old guards like Agwambo should now rest and see how young patriotic youth carry on with their legacies. You agree, Babu, you agree?
Baba is still, you know, the ideology that is in Baba, that is the most important thing.
Okay,
but if we need his idea in it,
you ask.
We want him.
Bunny?
He's a legend, he's a mentor. He has a role in this struggle as a mentor and many other things.
Yeah.
But the leadership of this movement should be left to the people who are going to be alive in the next 10 years.
Wanjira?
I completely agree that Baba has done his bit for the nation, but it's time for Baba to rest.
Shadrach?
I agree. It's time for Baba to rest. Let the kids lead.
Paul, you were with Baba in 1990. What do you think?
You know, this is his legacy. If Baba had not done this legacy of protests,
we would not be here.
We would not be here.
And we totally agree. We don't dispute that.
Yes, and I don't think he has given any indication that he wants to interfere with this.
Right.
And he knows that he's the one who set the stage for them. I think he's happy to see them do
And
this.
if he ends up in Addis, he knows that he left a good thing. I mean, things are okay.
And
I'm sure he must be
yesterday he said that he's very proud, right?
He's very proud.
Yesterday he said that he's very proud.
Father.
Yes. But again, because of the experience and serious ideologies, we still need to borrow something from Baba.
And you know,
I think the major thing we can take from Baba is the ideology.
Yes.
Can we learn the ideology? He named his son
Fidel.
Fidel Castro. Can we learn about Fidel Castro? Can we learn about Marx? Can we learn about Thomas Sankara? Can we learn about the great leaders of Africa and Emily?
Can I read that? That's my brother.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so read it. Go ahead. What's his name first? What's his name?
Weldon Caliph.
Okay.
That is my brother. Let the opposition MPs not take credit of what is happening. Once they do it, it will become a political game. Thank you.
So we talked about that, right?
Yes.
Wanjira, are you listening?
I'm listening.
Nyantika Chester says, if yesterday and today's demos is anything to go by, then the message has been delivered and the writing is on the wall. Ignore the masses at your own peril.
I agree that. So yesterday when people were arrested beyond the streets, the police were very friendly. Yeah, because they're suffering. They're suffering. And the president should never forget who protects him. The same police officers. And they see the wastage among his ministers. They see the wastage among civil servants, people in various offices that they give escort to. So the anger is not only in us, it's in everyone. We're paying for a house in front that you're not going to get those houses. Officers were telling me today, ambia president, hizi nyumba yanajengea watu tupatie sisi tunaishi kwa nyumba za mabati.
Exactly.
Wanakwambia wewe. And you spent the night in there.
Kuna mtu, by the way, there's one cop aliendanga hospital, Nairobi Hospital, akaambiwa pesa yake haiwezi tosha kwa sababu ya the medical care undercover. Na anafanya kazi State House. Akasema mjinga ambaye anachunga hapa, bibi yangu hawezi naweza mpiga risasi. That's a cop saying that. So the president should know that the people who protect him are not well paid. Do you know where they eat lunch? There's a place called Migingo near State House. I know
Migingo.
That's where we eat lunch. And do you know who eats lunch? There are people who protect the president.
And they go back to Migingo. Gen Z cuts across. You know, when the lawyers went to the police station, and even today when they went to court, it was a whole Gen Z crop of lawyers. Gen Z has taken over the law society entirely. I don't think anybody who is even the age of 40 can get anywhere near the law society today. So and that was going to cut across in the police. It's going to cut across in the military. The Gen Z is everywhere.
You should be very afraid.
Yes.
Like a virus.
Jeff, in fact, the masses should be ignored at the peril of government. Yes. Why? Because, Jeff, the masses spoke yesterday. They've been speaking before, but yesterday was the optimum point of it. And I want to also appeal to the police, Jeff. Tomorrow, there will be demonstration. The police job is to keep law and order, to maintain law and order. Yesterday, I went to Nairobi West Hospital to visit a police officer who's lost both the hands as a result of the tear gas.
Both are gone.
Both are gone. And you know what, Jeff? These people, they have been sent by the draconian government. They are being forced into it. The police should keep off. They should maintain law and order. They should not beat people. They should not use force. And that's all.
Absolutely. Frank says these so-called Gen Z protests are just urban-based. We have seen political rallies in the countryside are usually full of people, including teens, waiting for handouts. It is unsustainable, and Kenyans will be back to voting along tribal lines come 2027. Wanjira,
we disagree.
So, hey, let me tell you, if there's something that has died with Gen Z and millennials, it is tribalism. We do not subscribe. It does not make sense. When we walk into a hospital to get services, we are not asked which tribe do you come from. You're simply a Kenyan. So we can breathe in and breathe out. That tribalism is on its deathbed in our beloved country.
Shadrach, you agree?
I agree. Tribalism, dead. We disagree with
Seriously?
That.
Yes.
Right now, Gen Z's
Senior Counsel?
I would agree with that. And guess what? Listen. So Jeff, so I have 3 kids, and my first born has a Zulu name.
Yes.
My second born has an Arabic name. My last born has a Luo name.
Wow.
And they're Gen Z's because my eldest is 17. He's going to be voting in 2027.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And even a better example is here, Jeff, who's married from the mountain. So I don't know which language to talk to my kids. So generally.
So there you go. So even our kids are like, this thing, we're not getting it.
Good.
And even Ruto actually is also a good example that was given votes by people who are not even from his community.
Yes.
Yeah. This last election was not about tribe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Crispinus Adams says, revise the budget, eliminate items such as 30 million shillings extra for NGCDF, renovations, confidential funds, allocations to State House, and on other developments. Let's develop bit by bit. Don't force development on us. Just reduce taxes.
Agreed.
Development should be development for the people of Kenya.
Actually, the money should
Not renovations.
the money should be
State House or
converted
highways.
for development.
Absolutely. Katebe's case says, I am truly proud of Gen Z. They have redefined Mandamano. They are a tribe-less people. It is all about a better life for everyone. Indeed. All right, folks. Wow. Tweets are coming in so thick and so fast. We're going to get some final comments because we could talk about this until the cows come home, and which is a great conversation. Fantastic. But we're going to get some final thoughts. Wanjira, I'm going to start ladies first.
Yes.
Final thoughts going forward. Kenyans are watching you, listening to you. Your Gen Zs are watching you, listening to you. Talk to them.
Final thoughts is let us see this to the end. Let us uphold the rule of law in our country. Let us breathe life to 2010 Katiba ambayo tuko nayo, which is the mission of our generation really. I think the generations before laid down the groundwork. Now what we need to do is realize the aspirations of that Katiba. What we need to do is to actualize that Katiba and ensure that the rule of law is upheld in our country, that we actually run a democracy that respects and upholds human rights, that strives towards social justice, which can be realized. It is not something that is so difficult to achieve. We can achieve social justice for each and every Kenyan citizens if we unite and go for it. We are working on the unity bit. We are already united. We can see Nairobi, tick, other cities are also coming together. And it is the beginning of a new era in our country. A new dawn has come. There's a twist in Kenya, and it is beautiful to witness. Let us ungana and do it and go for it.
Absolutely. Shadrach, you have a message.
Yes. For me, for my final thoughts, there is so much to say. So I'll use this to deliver a message to the President of the Republic of Kenya. This is a message from Generation Z, Gen Zs, Millennials, and Gen Alphas who will start voting in 2027. I am going to read verbatim. Mr. President, this is a message from the young generation. We know you are very eloquent. We have heard your sweet tongue for the last many years. We are tired of listening to your lies. On the matter of sustainability of the demonstrations, for as long as the finance bill in its current form continues to be debatable, we, the youths of this country, do not need financial assistance to show up, to make noise, to use tools and resources close to us to express our displeasure and dissatisfaction. We will stop protesting when you categorically drop your demonic bill. Final message. We are going to make you the first and only one-term president of the Republic of Kenya. Be ready. We are sending you home in 2027, and you will never step into country politics. Mr. William Samoei Ruto, receive our message. Thank you very much, sir.
Senior Counsel, how do we bounce back from that?
I would pray to talk as representing the parents of this generation, because we really are their parents. First, we've done our bit. We were in the streets for resumption of multi-party democracy. We were in the streets fighting for a new constitution. When it has come to fighting to establish a just and equitable society, we have to admit we have failed that war. We can't deliver on that. I think my generation is happy to see our children take it on themselves to decide that they are going to fight for the just and equitable society they want to live in when they grow up. And for that, their parents support them, and they will give you whatever support you need, moral support. And this is your struggle now, and take it from there.
Senior Counsel, should they prepare for a bit of disappointment along the way?
It's up to them. It's what they do with themselves. It's how they organize themselves. Whether they allow themselves to be infiltrated, if they are organized, and we were infiltrated. Yeah. Immediately after we got Section 2A, and then Youth for Kanu 92 came. It was over. And it Vuruga.
It's the same guy power now.
Yes, and those are, I remember when I was in first year, Deputy President Trigadi was in third year. I think Ruto was. We were at one time. We were all together in campus at the same time, and even then, because when we were in school, I remember Rigathi Gachagua was involved in Nyeri District University Students Association, and they used to get students, and take them to State House for lunch, and people would get money. When Ruto left school, he went and joined Youth for Kanu 92. And this spent the billions on our generation and totally confused the hell out of everybody. And so that's how we were not able to continue with that struggle for the just and equitable society. If they don't take care, that's going to happen to them.
We will not be infiltrated. We will be here at 2027.
Mheshimiwa Babu Wino.
Jeff, what I would like to tell Kenyans is simple, that let's be united. We, the youthful people, let's be united. Let's fight for this country. We should not leave this country in the hands of the irresponsible, those who are going to mess it. Hakuna shida ya Mjaluo, iliyo shida ya Mkikuyu, iliyo tofauti na shida ya Mkalenjin, and all other tribes in this country. And therefore, we need to unite and fight. The common enemy is poverty. Another common enemy is the defunct Kenya Kwanza government. Another common enemy headed by President William Samoei Ruto. And therefore, if we are not on the table as the youthful people, let us break the table, because you will be in the menu, and in the menu you will be eaten. And the moment you're on the table, we have to bring in our brothers and sisters, and on that table is where development is found. On that table is where school fees should be found. On that table is where capital for starting businesses for our young men, women, and the elderly should be. And lastly, I want to say that our rights come not from the generosity of the state, but from the hands of God. Therefore, fear not. And the only thing to fear is fear itself. As was said by Franklin Roosevelt in 1929, when there was the great American Depression that almost assaulted and crippled the whole world.
Boss, is there a book you haven't read?
And because of that, I want to advise Ruto, that Ruto, the only way to change an economy, to grow an economy, borrow from Franklin D. Roosevelt, when the global economy was coming to its knees. He hired a gentleman called John Maynard Keynes from the Great Britain, and he came up with a book called The General Theory. And this came up with the Keynesian theory and stated that the only way to grow an economy is to put money into the pockets of the common mwananchi, so that it can spur up demand and supply will go up. When demand and supply goes up, you will achieve the maximum ever.
You talk about the hustlers.
Maximum economic equilibrium.
Final thoughts. You get the last word, Boniface Mwangi, activist number one, who is doing jail time for the country.
So I'll start with the Gen Z. I'm very proud of what you did yesterday. And I know you're going to do a lot much more. I know that change is not an event. Things will change tomorrow or next week. It's going to take a time. It's a series of events, and it's a marathon. So they should be ready for the marathon, because the change you're fighting for won't come easy. And the government knows the only one thing: violence. So they respond with that and